Okay, so we just discussed the IFRS framework. That is the framework for reporting provided by IFRS. Under this framework, there are certain requirements from IASB, most of which we have already discussed. Like required financial statement, we have discussed what are the financial statements that are required, or what are the parts of financial statements that are required. That is balance sheet, income statement, other comprehensive income, changes in equity, cash flow, notes, and statement of financial position from earliest comparative period in some cases. Moving on to structure and content, that how should these statements be structured. So IASB has a requirement to prepare classified balance sheet. What is classified balance sheet? Classified balance sheet is that balance sheet in which assets, current assets and non-current assets are separately reported. So whenever you are preparing balance sheet, you can either list down all the assets, or you can make separate sections for current and non-current assets. If you are making separate sections for non-current and current, that is a classified balance sheet. And preparation of classified balance sheet is a requirement of IASB. Minimum specified information on face, that is, at least there should be minimum information which is useful for making decision, and in addition to that there should be notes or disclosures supporting that information. So minimum information on face, and then at least assumptions or at least the estimates on the back, that is in disclosures and in notes. Comparative information, so you should not only report the information for current period, you should report the information for previous periods as well, for the comparison purposes with the current period information or numbers. General features include fair presentation, that we have already discussed. Going concern, we have discussed. Accrual basis, we have discussed. Materiality and aggregation, it means that if any amounts are immaterial, very small, you can aggregate them and report them as one amount. But if there is any amount that is significant enough with respect to your total assets or liabilities, then you cannot aggregate it with any other amount. You should be reporting it as separate. No offsetting means that, for example, if let's say you have an income and you have an expense, so you cannot just nullify it. You have to report an income and you have to report an expense. If both are same, you cannot just eliminate them. So even if income and expense both are same, you should record both income and expense instead of just removing it or eliminating it. Frequency of reporting can be quarterly, semi-annual, or annual. Comparative information, that we have discussed that comparable information should be available. And consistency of presentation, this is important for analysts and investors to use the information, because if you are changing the format of the information, or if you are changing the presentation of the information, then it will become very difficult for investor or analyst to find out what is happening or what is the trend. And usually this will be done by the companies, by those companies which do not want investors to go into details of the account. So if a company is continuously changing the presentation, that means there might be a problem. So make sure that you pay more attention to that. So presentation needs to be consistent for it to be decision useful. These are just simple basic certain requirements and features that we just discussed. So features we have just discussed: fair presentation, going concern, accrual basis, materiality aggregation, no offsetting, frequency of reporting, comparative information, and consistency. Structure and content requirements, we have discussed: classified statement of financial position, that is classified balance sheet, minimum information on face, minimum information in notes, and comparative information. So moving on, when we discussed IFRS and US GAAP, we discussed that there are some key differences between IFRS and US GAAP. As we go ahead with the course, we will continue discussing it. So when we discuss analysis of income statement, we will discuss differences in particular to income statement. When we go on to balance sheet, we will discuss differences in relation to balance sheet. But key principle is, or key difference is, that IFRS is a principle based approach and US GAAP is a rule based approach. IFRS offers more flexibility, US GAAP wouldn't offer that much of flexibility. Another key difference is that you will quite often see that when we talk about IFRS, you will quite often see this term probable being used, while in US GAAP generally this term is not used, because US GAAP is a rule based approach. So it does not talk about something being probable, it only talks about how is an expense or an income needs to be recorded, or provides a rule for that estimate. With respect to performance elements. FASB framework includes 3 elements to financial performance in addition to revenue and expenses, that is gain, losses and comprehensive income. Why is FASB more important, or why is FASB our focus? FASB is our focus because FASB has given FASB is our focus here because FASB is being used in US and it is different from general principles, or it is different from principles that are generally used around the globe. So for you to be able to differentiate, you should know how is FASB different from IFRS to be able to convert FASB into or US GAAP into IFRS. So in IASB, we only talk about generally revenue and expenses when we talk about performance. But in FASB, we also talk about other gains, losses and comprehensive income when we talk about performance. Financial position. FASB framework defines an asset as a future economic benefit, while IASB defines it as a resource from which future economic benefits are expected to flow. So as per FASB, asset is just a future benefit. If any benefit that you are expected to have in future, that is an asset. But in IASB, any future economic benefit cannot be an asset. It has to be something or a resource from which future economic benefits will flow to the organization. FASB framework does not discuss the term probable that we just discussed, but IASB framework uses this term. Measurement of elements is broadly consistent. So broadly, both the methods will be using historical cost, current cost, settlement value, present value, current market value and fair values. So these are some basic differences with respect to or summarized differences. As we go into income statement analysis, balance sheet analysis, cash flow analysis, then we will be discussing the differences specific to those financial statements. Moving on, effective financial reporting. What is an effective financial reporting? As we discussed earlier, effective financial reporting would be the one that helps achieve the objective of financial reporting, or that helps achieve the objective of financial statement analysis. And what is the objective? The objective is that the reporting should be investment decision useful. That is, investors should be able to use it and analysts should be able to use it. And for reporting to be effective or to be information decision useful or investment decision useful, there are 3 broad characteristics that it should have: transparency, comprehensiveness and consistency. Transparency means that management should not be hiding if there is any problem with the company. It should be transparent in reporting, or it should be disclosing all the risks that are there. Comprehensiveness means that it should be comprehensive enough to include all the possible important information, or all the important information that can be used by investor for investment decision making. And consistency, as we discussed, that it has to be consistent across the period so that it is comparable with the previous period or other companies. So 3 broad effective financial reporting categories characteristics are transparency, comprehensiveness and consistency. So when we started this topic, we discussed that there is an increasing trend or increasing struggle towards making IASB and FASB identical, or making or converging the 2 different standards. That is, making those 2 standards similar. But we discussed that there are certain barriers to it, or there are certain problems or difficulties to it. And some of the barriers to having a single coherent framework are valuation. That is, there are different methods of valuing assets and liabilities, and in different scenarios maybe different methods are better, or in different countries maybe use of different method is more appropriate. So you cannot limit it to the use of one specific framework or to the use of one specific method. Then standard setting approach. So when you talk about standard setting approach, standard setting can be done on principle based approach like by IASB, or on rules based approach like by FASB, or by other standard setting bodies that use a combination of these 2. So again, this is a debate, and it is hard to decide, or it is hard to reach a conclusion, or it is difficult to reach a conclusion that whether principles is better, rules is better, or a combination is better. So again, that is a barrier to convergence. Measurement. Again, as you know that different methods of measurement can be used, and those methods being used to measure assets on balance sheet impact income statement and cash flow statement. That is, any change in one statement, that is balance sheet, can impact your other statements as well. So companies के लिए ये problem है कि अगर वो किसी अपने method को, reporting method को change करेंगे for let's say even measurement of asset, then it will have significant impacts on even income statement and cash flow statement, and all their statements can change, and so their valuation can change. So that is a risk that companies face, due to which they would not want to change. So three key barriers to single coherent framework are valuation, standard setting approach, and measurement. Any confusion so far, or any problems, any points that you would like to add? Okay. In analyzing financial reporting disclosures, what should analysts address? So what are disclosures? Disclosure is any information that is disclosed in the accounts other than your primary financial statements. So whenever looking at the disclosure, there are certain questions that analysts should try answering. That is, first, what policies have been discussed? For example, what is the depreciation method used? What is the standard setting framework used? Second, does these policies cover all the significant balances on financial statement? Maybe there is a significant balance, significant asset on a statement for which they haven't provided any disclosure, or for which they haven't provided any notes or anything. So that can be a problem. As an analyst, you need to see whether all the workings for all the significant assets have been provided or something have been missed. If something have been missed, then you need to ask it from the company or company's investor relations. Which policies are identified as requiring significant estimate? So if there are policies that require significant estimate from management, then उसमें chances of error या chances of manipulation ज़्यादा है. So if management के पास ज़्यादा room है to take या ज़्यादा flexibility है to make estimate, or if management is making significant estimate, then there is more room for manipulation, because management can change those estimates. Have there been any changes in these disclosures from one year to next? If company अगर for example एक liability है जो disclose करती रही है, but for a year or for let's say for a couple of years, it has not been talking about that liability. That means there might be some problem. So अगर कोई चीज वो disclose करती रही है but अब disclose नहीं कर रही है, so that means कि there might be a problem. और if there is something जो उसने पास में कभी disclose नहीं करी but अब कर रही है, so that means कि कुछ ऐसे impacts और भी हो सकते हैं that company is hiding. So these are some questions or basic questions that as an analyst you need to answer. So this brings us to the end of this basic reading about standard setting bodies and about the accounting. And now in next class we will go on to discussing the income statement, or on to discussing the ratios with respect to income statement and all that.